Welcome to UCF Knightline, your source for UCF sports and former player information.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the 1148 studios, and this is episode number 40.
The big 4-0.
Episode 40, man. I'm excited. It's taken us some time to get here. 40 episodes worth of time, and we're here.
I'm Trylko, by the way.
Yeah, that's cool. Good. Thank you for introducing yourself. We've got a lot to talk about this week. We've got quite a bit of NFL draft news, of course. We've got Eric Lopez later on talking about UCF softball and the tremendous season that they're having. And we've also got a UCF rugby interview. Did you know that UCF has a rugby team?
I did know this.
Did you know that they are two-time national champions?
I did not know that. I know they'd won, but I didn't realize it was back-to-back.
Yeah, the last 2 years, national champions. And did you know that they have a chance this next weekend, I believe, to win it all again because they're in the national championship game?
I knew they were in their version of playoffs.
That is incredible, and that's awesome.
Champions play here.
Yeah. Well, we do have some national champions at UCF. It's in rugby and flag football.
Cheerleading.
And, yeah, cheerleading.
And conference champions in many sports.
In many sports. But, anyway, so back to the whole NFL draft thing. Brashad Perryman went in the first round with the 26th pick to Baltimore. We thought that maybe he would go a little quicker than that. I predicted number 12. You predicted number 14.
So we were right. 14 and 12 is 26.
Yeah, there you go. I didn't think about it that way.
He dropped a little bit farther than I thought he would. Baltimore seems a good fit, but as the evening dragged on, you saw some places where you thought, all right, maybe Kansas City will take him here. And then they moved on.
I wanted them to take him at 18. I would have loved that, but the dropped passes definitely hurt him. I don't care what anybody says about it. I know that people don't want to hear it. The drop passes hurt him.
But you're not alone in that. If you watched the coverage on NFL Network, I recorded one and ESPN and was watching NFL Network and then rewound back. That's what they were saying about him. The analysis was that there were some easy drops, and they showed him, and they broke him down. So you were not alone in that thinking.
I don't know how many times that I watched him, and he would look at his hands and kind of wonder what happened, and that's not good.
But that's coachable. Don't you think that's coachable? You can't coach the superior speed and athletic ability that he has. They like the opportunity that he presents them in Baltimore to move right in, and where a team that does not have a strong stable of wide receivers, he has an opportunity to make an immediate impact.
Yeah, he came out and he's wearing number 18, I guess. I don't know what the significance of 18 is. Maybe 81 was his dad at one point, and he's flipped that around to 18. I believe 81 was his dad at one point.
And, the Ravens play in what, is it the Central North? Is that what it's called in the AFC?
Something like that, North
and
Central.
UCF North is also Baltimore.
Yeah, and they've got
Kamar Aiken and Ja Reed also up there.
Yeah, so they've got 3 up there. We need to get another one here down in Jacksonville, and they'll have 3 there. Maybe Baltimore is a little bit more of UCF North than Jacksonville is.
The pick number 26 follows Blake Bortles going the year before, back-to-back first-round selections for your UCF Knights.
All right, so this is what it sounded like when Brashad Perryman was picked on Thursday night.
With the 26th pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Brashad Perryman, wide receiver, Central Florida.
Wow. Now, and listen, man, I talked about this, and the speed that this kid has is incredible.
Yeah, so they had some nice things to say about him there. His speed is incredible. Not talking about the hands, but,
CBSSports.com gives the Raven draft a grade A with a quote, "I love first-round receiver Brashad Perryman in their offense."
Yeah, so, Flacco was happy, and if Joe was happy. And speaking of somebody being happy, John Harbaugh was not so happy. Brashad actually hung up on him when he was making the call to congratulate him that he was about to be a Raven. So I've got the audio of that.
Not a good way to get things going with your new head coach.
It was kind of funny. We need to hear it, though.
Hey, Brashad,
Yeah. Make sure you don't
You'll be a Raven, man. Here's Coach Harbaugh. Okay, all right. Congratulations. Hey, congratulations, Rashad. You there?
The guys in Chicago.
I think I got separate. Yeah, Rashad, we got hung up on. He's there celebrating. Rashad, John Harbaugh, how you doing? Good. Dude, you hang up on me, man. Oh, you thought he was going. Okay, I don't want this to become a habit or anything. Congratulations. We are so excited. We've been sweating this thing out for about 10 picks now. You're the guy we wanted.
Yeah, so that was funny.
Maybe he dropped the phone.
Yeah. That was funny.
Sorry,
so he's like, let's not make this a habit. I thought that was funny. They're excited to have him. We're excited that he's there.
Back-to-back first-round draft picks is good for UCF.
Yeah, and Brashad actually the next day, he actually was there in Baltimore and had a little press conference, and we'll play a couple of quotes from that real quick.
I was hoping that it was going to ring for them. At the end of the day, I feel like we all had a good connection here with the coach and Ozzie and the head coach and everyone like that. So I really didn't have no expectations going into it, though, I was just hoping, to land somewhere in the first round and wherever God put me, and I was just going to make the best of it. I mean, I would like to just come in, establish myself and produce, whether it's a 1, 2, or 3, no matter where it is, on the depth chart, I just want to come in and produce somewhere.
All right, so he wants to come in and produce, and that's that.
But that was not all for UCF in this draft. Fourth round comes around, and Clayton Geathers gets picked by the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I'm not sure who was the one that made the audio of that clip of him or went up there and introduced him as the fourth pick. If they did they still do that then? And the fourth pick?
It's all televised, but I was not watching over the weekend.
It's usually a former player or somebody at that point, or somebody that they picked out of the audience that was wearing a Colts jersey or something. But it's kind of a bummer that only 2 players, because I said 4, you said 3, I believe, we thought were going to get picked. The other guys, most of them signed free agent deals.
Yeah, a slew of guys with free agent deals. Rennell Hall and Josh Reese with the Bucks, Terrence Plummer with the Redskins, Torian Wilson with the Lions, Justin Tukes with the Eagles, Jordan Ozerites with the Falcons, and some guy who left early.
And that's another thing that we need to talk
Glenn.
about a little bit here, obviously. Some guy that left early that thought that he was ready to go, I guess. And again, I will say that I will point out that during the coverage of the Combine, this particular guy, they used him as an example of how not to run a drill on the NFL Combine coverage.
Yeah.
That hurt him huge. Jacoby Glenn. You leave early in your junior year, you better be in the first or the second round.
Well, you better be in one of those 7.
Yeah, well, at least in that. You would think if a guy leaves early like that, look at Rashad Perryman. He left early, and he was in the first round. Anyway, I believe if you leave early, you should be in the top 4 rounds. If not, you're kind of wasting your time. Jacoby Glenn's Twitter handle is something like, it's Jacoby Paid, at Jacoby Paid Glenn. Well,
paying a little less as a free agent signing.
Paying a lot less as a free agent signing with the Bears.
Just disappointing, obviously, for him. He left early because he had high hopes and perhaps not the best advice in the world. And it certainly hurts UCF coming back this season.
Yeah, I believe it was a family member that told him. I remember George talking about it, and I believe it was an uncle or something like that told him that this was the proper thing to do. I don't know what his score was that they get, but it was wrong. I can tell you that. And it's a bummer. And he could still turn out to be a great player in the NFL, but he's going to really have to turn some heads going in as an undrafted free agent. And
Challenge to make the 53-man roster.
Yeah, all these guys are. I think that Hall, Reese, Plummer, all of them really have a chance to at least turn some heads. I think, I'm not making a prediction really, but I think that Plummer will be on the team at the Redskins because he plays with such heart and skill that he will turn heads in practice. He'll knock some people out or something probably, and I believe that he'll be one of the guys that makes it, and I hope so.
Still a lot of guys that have signed, and hopefully some of them make it. One name not on that list that I'd still like to see, ink a deal.
Of course, J.J. Wharton, yeah, but, obviously he was hurt a lot worse than we all thought. Short time for him to heal from that injury.
Oh, yeah, final regular season home game. Not a lot of recovery time before the, pro day and
It was
combine.
like
He didn't get to do those things.
Yeah, the absolute worst time to get hurt. What else do we got?
Knightline Podcast is talking about former players, too. And as we know, Storm Johnson is with Jacksonville. You pointed out, interestingly enough, during the draft that Jacksonville, in the second round, drafted a running back out of Alabama, T.J. Yeldon.
Yeah, I've thought about that a little bit after I made that comment. There's other running backs that were there. The whole team of them weren't the greatest of running backs last year. There's Denard Robinson. There is the white guy. That's how memorable he is. Anyway, I believe that he's going to be playing fullback this year. So that still leaves like 3 or 4 running backs there. So I think that Storm could still have a chance. He's got a year under his belt.
CBS Sports on T.J. Yeldon. He will be a feature back for a team that needs one.
Whatever.
Overall, though, good for Blake is that Jacksonville, in most of these analysis, for whatever they
Toby Gerhart.
Toby Gerhart.
That's the forgettable name.
Yeah. The Google machine did not work quickly enough for us during this recording. But Jacksonville receiving a grade of A positive, A plus in most of these breakdowns. So that's good for Blake going into his second season.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I hope that, they can get some stuff going there. They had a great draft. What else? Hometown Huddle.
Out at Bright House Networks Stadium.
May 11th. What a weird
It seems
time.
early, doesn't it?
Yeah, it was in like July or August last year. It was like right before football started.
It seems real quick right after the spring game.
It's really weird. I don't know why.
Free event, 6 o'clock, Monday, May 11th for the local fans. Coach George O'Leary will be talking about the team.
Are you going to be going to that?
Not sure if the schedule will permit.
Yeah,
Fun games, food.
I don't know. Being that early, I don't know.
This doesn't necessarily take the place of a coach's tour. We haven't heard that definitively.
Last year it was he was talking about what the team was going to be like. I mean, what's the difference between what we just saw in the spring game and what he's going to be able to talk about? I mean, I'm not probably going to that just because there's not a lot of reason to go. I mean,
they might have inflatables. There might be a bounce house.
Well, if you want, they're going to give away some free barbecue and stuff like that, and they're going to talk about what happened in the spring, I guess. So go to that if you feel inclined, and I'm sure it'll be a good time. They sold beers last year for like $8 or something like that. So East Side Club, I saw some pictures of some seats going in and stuff like that.
I mean, I imagine that the construction crew, and they know what they're doing. I saw it on Sunday coming out of the baseball game. And
is there a hole cut? Did they cut a hole yet?
Yeah, you can drive around there. You can kind of see
right through
into the stadium a bit. But, they got September 3 coming quick. 6 o'clock, FIU, home opener.
We shall see. And that's going to be on CBS Sports Network, so there will be a camera facing that, I'm sure. So
I would say that it will be finished, but Chicago thought Wrigley Field would be finished for the start of the season, and there's still nothing in those bleacher seats.
I think it's going to look even more stupid if it's not finished.
Oh, that's not good.
It's still going to look stupid, but it's going to even look more stupid
if
it's not finished.
They'll have it finished.
I don't know. Anyway, speaking of stupid.
Yeah, this one doesn't rank so high.
Yeah, this is kind of stupid. It is. I'm using that word tonight. That is the word of the day.
Ding, 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 ding.
Ding, ding, ding on the UCF Knightline podcast here. Stupid. Brandon Goodwin has been arrested. UCF basketball player.
Point guard. Accused of stealing a bicycle on campus last summer.
That was over, the amount of money that it makes it grand theft.
Felony charge of grand theft. He'll be arraigned May 18th at the Orange County Courthouse.
If you'd like to show up. I don't know what time it is.
No.
Maybe we should have a little UCF section.
The Orlando Sentinel reported Goodwin, then 18, accused of taking a bike valued at $300 from a rack near Nitro's on June 6, 2014. Eek.
Why?
I don't know why. Goodwin said someone stole his bike earlier, and he took another bike in return.
So he was going to steal somebody else's bike.
On a positive, he tells the Sentinel that he felt bad, or the police report says he felt bad about his decision. He left the stolen bike near the math building, and that's where they found
he should have
it.
taken it back to Nitro's where he found it, and then he wouldn't be in this trouble. He shouldn't have taken it in the first place. Oh, we've all made mistakes, but geez, come on.
Started all 30 games for the Knights.
I'm going to start a thing like what's his name does on there every week. Come on.
Come on, man.
Yeah, come on, man. Well, it looks like we need it now.
Yeah,
we're
we're forced to talk about Bruce Miller a couple of weeks ago, and now this one.
Yeah, and how we didn't want to do the weekly thing about who got arrested, but I'm telling you that is going to be a new feature.
No, there's not going to be any more.
Yep. Oh,
no.
Yes, there is.
Be no more.
You watch.
Hopefully there's some plea bargain and community service and, nothing permanent to his record.
Okay, now to some good news.
Yes, much better news. Number 15, UCF softball, took 2 of 3 over the hated Cows from South Florida. Closed out the regular season 16-2 in the AAC, 46-7 overall. Tremendous season for UCF softball.
That's awesome, and they're getting ready to start the tournament and all that stuff.
Out at UCF.
Yeah. We talked to Eric Lopez just a little while ago
about
voice
of
the
UCF
voice
softball.
of UCF softball. All right, on the phone joining us now is Eric Lopez, the radio voice of UCF softball. Eric, how you doing today?
Doing great. Appreciate you guys having me on.
Absolutely. What an exciting season so far for the UCF softball team. It's not over yet.
No, it's been a remarkable year. Years of a lot of firsts for this program. Been ranked in the top 25 pretty much most of the year, which they haven't been ranked top 25 before prior to this year. Wrapping up now a back-to-back American Conference regular season championships. It's been a phenomenal year. They're in the conversation to host possibly a regional, and they're going to host the conference tournament, national awards. It's just been out of this world. I knew, guys, that we were going to be pretty good because pretty much everybody back from last year's team. But if you would have told me that this team will be where they're at today, I would have said, I don't think we're that good, but they have been. It's been remarkable.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's been a surprise, and it's, we were thinking baseball was going to be pretty decent this year.
Yeah.
It hasn't quite turned out like that, but the softball has been the absolute exciting thing going on during the spring, I guess.
Yeah, no, it really has, and you're right. I mean, baseball got off to that fantastic start. They were ranked in the top 10, and we're thinking, wow, this could be the greatest spring ever. People are not aware of this, but baseball and softball have only made the NCAA tournament in the same year once, which occurred in 2012, and we were thinking obviously that could happen again this year. It's still good. Baseball still has an outside chance. They got to kind of turn things around. They just kind of helped by that by beating USF 2 out of 3, but they got a lot of work to do down the stretch. But softball's been the one that's been most consistent, and part of that is the pitching, the number one pitching staff in the country. And as you know, it doesn't matter if it's softball or baseball. If you've got dominant pitching, you always have a chance to win every game.
Eric, you've been covering the team for nearly a decade. Deepest team you've seen during your time covering the Knights?
It's the best team I've seen, during my time, and it's because of the two pitchers, number one, Shelby Turnier, Mackenzie Audis the senior, Turnier the junior, two of the best pitchers in the country. They both have been in the top 6 in ERA in the entire country all year long. Their ERA's under 1 for most of the year. They have helped the staff with 20 shutouts, among the leaders in the country, strikeouts. It's been a dominant pitching staff, and the offense is as good as they've ever had from a standpoint of top to bottom in the lineup. Now, UCF has had good offenses in the past, and specifically with individuals like Stephanie Best, who I know you guys had on recently, got inducted to the UCF Hall of Fame. There's not a player on offense to be equal of a Stephanie Best, but what they do have is more depth offensively where more players can hurt you. That's what's really been impressive about this ball club, and they've had some great wins. They're looking for more. They're looking to go as deep as any UCF team has ever gone before in the NCAA tournament.
Now, 46-7 overall, 16-2 in the American back-to-back American champions, and hosting the AAC championship. Certainly the favorite going into that tournament. Who might concern Knight fans that could possibly upset them in winning the conference championship?
Well, if you look at the bracket, they're going to be the number 1 seed. They get a bye. It's a 17 tournament, single elimination. UCF gets the bye because winning the regular season championship. So they'll play on Friday. And they're going to play the winner of South Florida and East Carolina. And if it's South Florida wins, well, that's going to be a tough game. South Florida has tremendous athletes, Coach Erickson and company. That's a rivalry. So you kind of throw the records out when those two teams play. They just finished playing a really intense 3-game series. So I think you look at the other side of the bracket, I think Tulsa is the team that's going to be perhaps the biggest threat if UCF gets to the championship game. They played a 3-game series earlier this year in Tulsa. UCF had to win a 16-inning game in that series, won it 2 out of 3. Tulsa has a good team as well. I would say those are the two teams that certainly I would circle as teams that UCF obviously will be concerned about. But look, when you're the defending champions, everybody's got a target on. They're going to go after you. I think the girls will be ready for that. I think they understand that. They were 1 game away. They lost in the championship game last year in the conference championship in Houston against Louisville. And I think most of those players still kind of remember that bad taste from the conference tournament last year, and I think they want to redeem that and try to make it a double dip.
And what's the perception of the American in softball? Parity, strong conference? What's your assessment of the American?
Well, it's been a weird year. Last year, for example, the American Softball Conference Tournament had 4 teams into the NCAA tournament with great programs like Tulsa was coming in from CUSA that had won 50 games last year. Houston has been a perennial NCAA tournament team, as has been South Florida. So, last year was a top 6 conference in the country. This year, they've had a down year. They're only 10th in the RPI conference, and that's one of the reasons that I think is going to probably end up costing UCF from hosting a regionals because the conference is down. Tulsa is down. They've been a bit of a disappointment compared to past teams. Houston is down. South Florida is kind of in rebuild mode. They lost their franchise player from a year ago who graduated. So it's been down this year. It's actually been kind of weird because baseball has had a great year in the American Conference. Not a lot of people expected the American Conference to be strong in baseball. A lot of people thought it would be stronger in softball, but this year it's actually stronger in baseball and a little weaker in the softball conference side.
Not to dismiss the AAC championship, but I think these Knights are thinking deeper and a longer run. How far can they go?
Well, I think you start with where do they draw in the bracket? Who do they draw? Where do they go? Let's go with that. I think they could go as deep because you've got 2 pitchers that have won regional games and can carry a staff. So I think that's huge with McKenzie and Shelby. It starts with that. I think they feel very confident. Remember, this team got experience from last year. They got to the regional championship in Gainesville where they lost to the eventual national champions, the Florida Gators. And I think that experience will help this team. That's the goal, is to win the regional wherever they go to a super regional, which they've never done in program history. So I think the experience, and when you have 2 aces who are all-American type pitchers like Shelby and Mack are, you can win any game, and I think that's the advantage that they feel they'll have over whoever they play in the regionals in a couple of weeks.
For those of us that have never experienced or know about a softball tournament, especially an NCAA tournament, can you explain to us a little bit how that works? I mean, you use the word regional and super regional.
Sure. It's very similar to exactly the college baseball NCAA tournament. It's a 4-team regional. You have a double elimination format. So you'll have the host team is usually the number 1 seed, and you have the 2 versus 3, and then the 4, and then they play until on that weekend, and then the winner will advance to the super regional the following weekend. Well, they'll take on a team from the bracket in a best out of 3 series, and the winner of that gets to the World Series. So for UCF, the problem with them in the past is every time UCF has made the NCAA tournament, they've been sent to Gainesville to play Florida. They've been sent there in 2005. They've been sent there in 2008, 2010, 2012, and then last year. And Florida has been obviously one of the best teams in the country last year, winning the national title. I think this year, though, I think UCF's going to go in a different place. I think Tallahassee is a strong possibility. I think Athens is a possibility if Georgia were to host. They could see Florida maybe at a super regional, depending on how the brackets are kind of lined up. It's a 64-team field for the NCAA tournament. The brackets will be announced Sunday night, May 10th, and that will be certainly UCF will find out kind of their destination and who they will play. Double elimination. So UCF has got experience with that, and it's no different than what baseball has gone through. And the intensity is unbelievable. It's every pitch matters, and it's basically like any NCAA basketball tournament game. It's a tense 2.5-hour game, and every game is a drink. Because everybody's good once you get to that side of the field. It's just an amazing experience to kind of be a part of.
A relatively young program in the the softball world. Talk about how important it has been for Coach Gillespie, that tutelage of her tenure with UCF.
Oh, it's been everything. I mean, Coach Gillespie came here from Texas Tech with a vision, didn't have a softball field, didn't have much of a budget, and just built the program from scratch. And, I mean, she got off to a tremendous start bringing in Stephanie Best and really got that program running and competitive right away in the A-Sun. And then they moved to CUSA. They won a championship there. Coach Gillespie is the only UCF coach to have won a conference championship in the A-Sun, Conference USA, and now the American Conference. It tells you about the versatility and the able to adapt. And, she's turned this program now all of a sudden to one of the top programs in the country. They're now in the top 20 across the board in the polls, and more people are now recognizing UCF softball. They've been getting national headlines most of the season, and more players now are starting to come to UCF as a result of that, and the recruiting's been top-notch, and it's just meant a lot for the opportunities for this program. Now they got a beautiful complex that's been open since 2006. And they're hosting the conference tournament, as you mentioned. They host usually about 3 to 4 tournaments a year during the regular season because teams like to come to Florida to get some games in. And they've got a facility that could host a regional potentially and beyond. So it's just been remarkable in that short period of time how she's been so successful. It's really been remarkable.
We've talked a little bit about Stephanie Best a couple times here. You guys honored her the other night. I know I saw some pictures. Tell us what she meant to this team.
Really, you can't even put to words. She helped put the program on the map right from the beginning. She led the NCAA in 2005 with 26 home runs. By the time she finished her UCF career, she was in the top 5 in home runs in the history of college softball. She's currently 13th with 71. It tells you a remarkable accomplishment. And she helped transcend UCF softball. A lot of people that didn't follow the sport, didn't know anything about the sport, really first started hearing about UCF softball because people were like, man, you got to go see this girl hit. I was one of them. I was a student at the time, had no idea about college softball, but friends of mine on classes and people were talking about this Stephanie Best girl. You got to go see her play, and I did, and it was just remarkable to watch. And I still run into people in the stands today that have been fans of the program since day one, and a big part of that is because of Stephanie. She was one that you didn't have to be a softball fan to know who she was. You can't put a number on how valuable that was for this program when it was just starting.
Absolutely. Eric, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and we will look forward maybe to talking to you again once the tournament gets going and we see what's going to happen here a little bit.
Always a pleasure, gentlemen. Anytime you need me, I'm here for you.
Thank you very, very much. We appreciate it.
All right, guys, take it easy.
So you travel a lot for work and fun. Have you ever thought about having just a little bit more insurance? TravelX gives you the peace of mind so you can take care of your family and loved ones. Click the link on our webpage. I'm just saying, accidents happen.
This is J.J. Warden, and you're listening to Knightline.
All right, UCF softball is back in action on May 8th in the AAC Softball Championship, which will take place at the UCF Softball Complex as the number 1 seed. The Knights will have a first-round bye and will play their first game at 5:30 p.m. on Friday. UCF faces the winner of the number 4 East Carolina and number 5 South Florida game, which will take place at 4 p.m. on Thursday.
Meantime, UCF baseball rallied a bit, taking 2 of 3 over the weekend against South Florida. God, I hate them. The Knights dropped the Sunday contest to fall to 7-11 in the AAC, 28-20 overall. Next up, UCF goes to number 14, Florida Atlantic Wednesday. They close out the home conference slate over the weekend versus Memphis, Senior Day Saturday, and then they head over to Tampa for 3 more with the Cows.
What has happened to UCF baseball?
Well, you know, going into the season, preseason ranked number 22, I think it was, climbed as high as 6. The team we see right now may be a better indication of what they've always been. Some inconsistent defense. The offense has cooled off. You've got Zach Rogers, the prime starter now. Cree Frinfrock has been pretty good. But then after that, it's just a hodgepodge on the pitching. And the defense is a little shaky. And
Frinfrock threw a complete game, correct?
Well, they had back-to-back on Friday and Saturday to beat South Florida. So, you go, as Eric mentioned on softball, the same is true of baseball. And the AAC tournament is coming up in Clearwater for baseball in a couple weeks, and UCF will go as far into that as their pitching can take them.
What's baseball ranked at now?
Out.
Do we know?
Gone.
They're not even in the top 25 anymore?
No, you can't lose 18 to 25 or whatever.
We talked about that the last time, and we were wondering how far. That was 2 weeks ago, and we were wondering how far they would fall. So.
Yeah, no, they got swept last weekend, the previous weekend against East Carolina on the road. So, no, out.
Well, what a bummer. There's another, like we said earlier, about winning back-to-back national championships, rugby.
Rugby, going for a third. Right here at UCF. Who knew? You may not have heard much, though, about UCF rugby. Scott Morrow, UCF Recreation and Wellness, shed some light on a team going for a three-peat.
Hi, this is Scott Morrow reporting for the Knightline podcast. I'm with John Sennett with the UCF men's rugby team, who in a week will be going after their 3rd consecutive national title as they play the University of California, Davis in Kennesaw, Georgia. John, welcome to the Knightline podcast. Congratulations on all the success. Talk a little bit about the experience in Pittsburgh this weekend.
Yeah, so we played University of Merchant Marine Academy in the first round for the Elite Eight, and they were a good team. They're big. They were pretty physical. We ended up beating them 58-18. The second game would have been on Sunday, which was the Final Four. We was against West Virginia. Now they were a really good team. They definitely brought it to us. They actually scored first on us, which hasn't happened in over a year. But we bounced back. Our physicality, they couldn't just keep up with us. We were too physical for them. Ended up beating them 38-18. So now we're advancing, like you said, to the national championship for the third consecutive year. And we will be playing against a University of California Davis team that's apparently pretty good. So should be a good one.
So talk a little bit about the national semifinal game against West Virginia. You got a special award or special recognition from that game.
Yes, I got man of the match. I scored 3 times. Like I said, they're a very big team, very physical team. They're actually getting moved next year to D1 Single A. They got invited to move up. So that speaks for how good they truly are. It was, like I said, it was a close match. They scored first. We bounced back and scored 3 times right after. It was 21-5. Then they came back, and at halftime, believe it or not, it was 21-15. It was a very close game at halftime. Second half, though, we fixed what we had to fix. We came out, we sticked with our game plan, punched them in the mouth. And yes, I did score. It was funny because the last play of the game, I broke it for about 70 yards, no lie. And that was just a nail in the coffin, put us up 38-18. And from there, it was just about 5 minutes left in the game. They just had nothing left for them to do. We had the ball, and we just kept running it, ran the timeout, ended up winning 38-18.
I know locally in Central Florida, there has been some talk about you guys over the last couple years. You were underdogs when you won your first national title a couple years ago, and Target was on your back last year when you won your second consecutive national title. But for those folks that aren't as familiar with rugby and the level that you play here at UCF, talk about the difference between a fully funded program and the type of program that a club team is.
Well, basically, it's all about funding because we play in Division I, AA. Now, there are schools in our division that they are funded by their athletic program. Unfortunately, we are not. We are funded by SGA, so we do get, essentially X amount of money.
Which is Student Government Association.
Yes, Student Government Association. But it's nothing to what we need, especially when we advance this far into the national championship. But that's basically the main difference. We're still going against teams that are great teams. Just because we're not an athletic program doesn't mean the caliber of rugby is any different. Because like I said, the first 3 we won that we played against was Lindenwood. And if you know anything about rugby, Lindenwood is one of the powerhouses now in Division I. They were all fully funded the year we played them. Last year we played Arizona in the national championship. Put it in perspective, their coach is on a $60,000 salary there. Our coach is voluntarily. They had guys that were on scholarship. We have no one on scholarship. We have to go out. We have a GoFundMe account that is basically the main source of our financial needs. We also do fundraisers. We're selling wristbands. If anyone wants to get in contact with one of us on the team, we're selling wristbands for $5. That's basically the difference. As far as caliber, though, there is no different caliber. It's all about funding. Like I said, we play against teams that do have scholarship athletes on their team, and we still go out there and destroy them. So that just speaks in numbers of how good our coaching staff here at UCF, these coaches that come out, they're all voluntary. They get nothing out of this, as do the players. It's all voluntary. We play the game because we love it. There's no other reason why.
For the folks that are listening to the Knightline podcast, and that keeps growing each week, tell them a little bit about your position, the loose head prop. If you had to liken it to something, say, in football, what would it be like?
Well, so loose head prop refers to when we're in a scrum. And the scrum is when it's basically all 8 of our guys, which is 8 of their guys, one of our guys or one of their guys are throwing in the ball. And basically, you can almost compare it to wrestling in the position you're in. And basically, whenever push the other team back gets the ball, essentially. Now, as far as my actual title is forward. Mm-hmm. And a forward, you either got forward or backs. Your forwards are going to be like your O lineman, your D lineman in football, the bigger dudes. Whereas the backs are going to be more of your finesse, speedy stir guys. So basically, we're called the pack of the team. We're the train of the team, is what essentially our coach calls us, because we're the ones that basically get things going. And so if you want to look at it from a football standpoint, we'll be the O-line, D-line, your linebackers. Your bigger guys on the team basically are going to be your forwards. Your little, not so much smaller, I don't mean it in that sense, but your more finesse, quicker guys are going to be the backs.
I want to talk about the growth of this program. As I mentioned, You guys were sort of underdogs when you ended up in the national title match a couple years ago. But now you guys, obviously, you're known throughout the country, so the target's sort of on your back, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a group of collective guys that had been together since high school, rather. And they won it in 2013. And then I joined last fall in 2014. And those guys were still there. We won it again last year. This fall comes around, we had to do a lot of recruiting. We lost more than 2/3 of our team last year graduated. Literally, there's 4 guys on the team that were last year that are still on the team, myself included. So the way we do it is we use the resources we have. Mainly is how I got picked up to play rugby. Jason Ross used to be our own president. Literally would recruit guys here at the gym at the UCF RWC. That's essentially how he found me. He found me working out, asked me if I ever heard of rugby. I said no, but he said if I would like to come out and give it a shot. I said definitely. I went out and I loved it. And that's basically what we had to do this year. Myself included, along with other guys, we held recruiting tents outside the gym. For anyone that was interested, we were handing out flyers, trying to get people to know what rugby is. A lot of people don't know what rugby is. Unfortunately, it's not that big yet in the United States. Every year it grows about 14% is the last time I checked the statistics. But basically, like I said, we have to go out and recruit and get people. It's really hard to get someone to come out and run as much as we run voluntarily. And that's what I think makes us so special, because we all want to be up there. Like I said, we gain nothing monetarily, nothing financially, nothing out of this. The guys that come up there and do it, it's because the guys that want to come out there and do it. And that's what makes it kind of hard to recruit. Once again, this year, when this year's done, same thing. We're going to have a bunch of guys leaving, so we're going to have to start all over again for next year. But the fundamentals are there. The core values are there. So we know as a team what it takes to win. And that's what separates us from the rest of the club sports out there.
What are you studying here at UCF? What's
exercise science.
And what year are you?
Funny thing, I graduate May 8th, which is Friday. I walk, and then I take a plane that night to Georgia because we play May 9th. So I actually be gone after this year. I do have one more year left of eligibility. Unfortunately, though, I would have to be a grad student. I wasn't sure if I want to go that route or not. It's going to be all dependent upon financially where I'm at next year and stuff. But I really do want to come back and play. So I'll figure out a way to come back here and play. If not, at least coach and keep this train going. Because, like I said, to win a national championship once is something special. To win it twice is even special. And now we're here for a third year. And like I said, we're going against teams that do have the resources. We don't. We have to go out there and work for everything we got, and I love it.
Yeah, so just to rehash a little bit about the funding, it's all donations, and they have a GoFundMe account. I'm going to give that website right now. It's gofundme.com, and their account is /KQROJS. Again, that's gofundme.com /KQROJS if you want to help support the UCF men's rugby team and get them to Kennesaw, Georgia in 2 weeks as they go for their third consecutive national title. This is Scott Morrow along with John Sennett for the Knightline podcast and the UCF men's rugby team.
All right, thanks, Scott Morrow. He did a great job with that, and hopefully maybe he will get some more of those club sport interviews for us, and maybe that could become a thing.
A new roving correspondent for the Knightline
he did a great
podcast.
job.
Good luck, rugby.
All right, now for some news and notes.
UCF men's golf team, one of just two to turn in scores on par or better in each round of the AAC Men's Golf Championship. The Knights took third as a team. God, I hate them. South Florida won the team championship and the individual title. Have I mentioned that I'm not big on the cows?
You have.
Yeah.
UCF Rowing Varsity 8 collected a first-place finish to lead the Knights against Tennessee and Iowa in the Melton Hill Lake on Saturday. Plus, the University Varsity 8 was named the AAC Boat of the Week for the second time this season.
For the third time this outdoor track and field season, a UCF runner took home AAC Track Athlete of the Week honors as freshman Laura Korsmet earned the accolades.
UCF junior Caroline Eberhardt was selected to the AAC's Women's Tennis All-Conference team.
You really don't like the name of our conference, do you?
I'm just so...
Call it the American.
I'm so worried that I'm going to say ACC, and I don't want to say that.
The UCF women's golf team will take part in the NCAA Raleigh Regional May 7 through 9 this week. Head coach Emily Marin was named 2015 AAC Coach of the Year. Under Marin's direction, UCF won the 2015 Conference Championship and reached NCAA Regionals in each of her 3 seasons. 2 other awards there. UCF sophomore Ashley Holder was named AAC Player of the Year for the second straight year. She was also a unanimous selection as one of 3 Knights who earned all AAC honors. Now you got me worried about saying ACC. And UCF freshman Lauren Soho was named AAC Freshman of the Year. Second year in a row, the award went to a Knight. After Holder earned the honor in 2014, Soho also earned all AAC honors.
The UCF track and field team finished second out of 16 scoring teams in the Twilight Invitational. It's the final home meet of the season. This was episode 40, of course, but next week will be another replay on YouTube. If you didn't catch that, exclusively on YouTube, and we will be back the following week with episode number 41. I'll be back. I don't know if you will or not.
Wow. Get my walking papers right here after number 40.
Joking.
Maybe I'll be on replay. Will I be featured in all on replay? The best of some of our best interviews that we've done the past couple of months.
Right, and exclusively on YouTube, and we're going to do that every other week for a couple months here.
Caught up with quite a few former UCF football players, some new recruits. So we've had several good interviews that people have asked about. And
the only place that you can find those interviews by themselves is on YouTube, on replay. Yeah, so we'll do that. And this has been episode number 40. of the UCF Knightline podcast. I'm Andrew Phegley.
I'm Trace Trylko. Go Knights!
Charge on.
UCF, charge on to the field. With our spirits, we'll never yield. Black and gold charge right through the line. Victory is our cry.